Hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Arundhati Ramnan and here are the top headlines that we're tracking for you this evening. The sell-off intensifies on Dalal-Street. Nifty hits a 5-month low and is down 10% from record levels. 20 lakh crore rupees in investor wealth wiped out in the last 3 sessions. US President-elect Donald Trump picks Elon Musk and former Republican presidential aspirant Vivek Ramaswamy to lead a new department of government efficiency, aims to provide advice and guidance from outside the government to help dismantle bureaucracy, cut wasteful expenditures and restructure federal agencies. Muted debut for Swiggy on Dalal-Street. Stock lists at an 8% premium but sees strong buying thereafter. The food delivery app's market cap crosses 1 lakh crore rupees, similar to what Zomato achieved on listing day. Softbank holds on to its 8% stake in Swiggy, did not sell shares in the offer for sale. India head Sumer Juneja says Swiggy has significant headroom for growth, also signals potential stake sale in Ola Electric in a thoughtful and gradual manner once the 6-month lock-in ends. NTPC Green will launch its 10,000 crore rupee IPO on the 19th of November. Shares will be offered in a price band of 102 to 108 rupees. This will be the third largest IPO this year after Hyundai India and Swiggy. Israeli army continues to pound Gaza and Lebanon, killing close to 90 people in the last 24 hours. Palestinian medical officials claim missiles struck a makeshift cafeteria inside an Israel-declared humanitarian zone. Donald Trump picks Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee as the next ambassador to Israel. Supreme Court comes down heavily on demolition of properties of those accused of a crime, terms bulldozer actions a chilling sight and rules the executive cannot replace the judiciary, lays down stricter guidelines and makes officers directing demolitions personally responsible in case of wrongful action. 43 seats go to polls in Phase 1 of Jharkhand Assembly elections. 683 candidates in the fray. It's a two-way battle between BJP-led NDA and the JMM-led India bloc. Those were the headlines that we're tracking for you this evening, but let's start with the market action where the sell-off is only intensifying. Stocks declined for the 5th straight session with the Nifty hitting its lowest level in 5 months. In a sense, gains made over the last 5 months have been wiped out in 5 days. Nifty is now down 10% from its record high. Sensex lost nearly 1,000 points today. Mid-caps and small caps saw sharper cuts and there was simply no place to hide. 8 lakh crore rupees in market capitalization was wiped out today. 20 lakh crore rupees in wealth eroded over the last 5 sessions. Prashant Nair is here with a market action of the day. Prashant, it's red across the screen.
Well, the pressure on the market continues. The market today on the Nifty from the all-time highs entered the 10% plus zone in terms of a correction. For the Nifty Bank, about 7.5. For the mid and small cap indices, about 11.5% respectively from the highs. The pressure did not stop today. So yesterday was a 300-point cut on the Nifty, and today we sort of roundabout we had another 300-point fall. Advanced decline pretty poor, some 10:1 in favor of stocks which were lower. So that kind of told you what kind of a day we had. So I'll start with large caps, which saw the maximum pressure. Hero, top of the list in terms of cuts. There was Hindalco, Tata Steel from the metal space. Mahindra & Mahindra, Eicher and BEL were some of the names which came in for some thrashing. Actually, nothing noteworthy on the upside. So it tells you the story. In the broader market, lots of damage done. Suzlon from highs of 80 plus is now in the 50s. Big cut today. Motilal Oswal, big outperformer, pullback. GNFC, Greaves Cotton was another one. Anant Raj, HBL was down 7%. There were names like Techno Electric, Time Technoplast, both down 7-8% respectively. Suprajit Engineering, Sudarshan Chemicals is in the 900s handle. Varroc Engineering was another one which was down quite a bit. There were movers on the upside as well, but nothing very large. Piramal Pharma has come off the highs by a little bit, ended in the green. KNR Construction was a decent mover. Afcon's recent listing, Zydus Life has fallen about 25% from the highs. A bit of upside today. Bharti Hexacon and Suvain Life Sciences were some of the other names. One Common theme, of course, the 300-point fall on the Nifty is common today and yesterday. The other sort of big driver which has been putting pressure on emerging market assets has been the rise in the dollar. That was true yesterday. Dollar went up day before yesterday, or US overnight session went up during Asia yesterday, and it repeated that story. We woke up to higher dollar this morning, and the dollar index continued its march up during the Asian session as well. You need that to pull back a little bit to at least provide some respite. Institutional numbers have been pretty poor. FIs have continued to sell. So those are the two things which I think really at the margin will make all the difference. Back to you.
So the sell-off there on Dalal-Street only intensifying. Thank you so much for those details, Prashant. But from equity markets to the currency market, rupee continues to hover around the all-time low mark. Persistent outflow of foreign funds and strengthening of the dollar have weighed on the rupee. Meanwhile, crude oil prices edged up after logging losses in the last two sessions. This is on back of tightening supplies despite lower demand. For the fourth time, OPEC lowered demand estimates for 2024. Bitcoin's record-breaking rally took a breather after the crypt hit the $90,000 mark. This as the markets awaited U.S. inflation data. The volatility caused over $900 million in liquidations on crypto-tracked futures. However, investors anticipate a resurgence in demand. Prices of Dogecoin also cooled off after a surge propelled by the creation of the Department of Government Efficiency in the USA. And speaking of the Department of Government Efficiency, U.S. President-elect Donald Trump has announced that billionaire Elon Musk and politician and former Republican presidential aspirant Vivek Ramaswamy will lead the newly formed department. According to an official statement, both Musk and Ramaswamy will advise the White House from outside the government. The department will aim to drive structural reform and reduce bureaucracy. Trump has said that slashing excess expenditure and restructuring federal agencies will also be on the department's agenda. Remember, Trump promised that he would create the department during his campaign, while Musk said that the Government Efficiency Department will fix government spending.
I will create a Government Efficiency Commission tasked with conducting a complete financial and performance audit of the entire federal government and making recommendations for drastic reforms. We need to do it. Can't go on the way we are now. And Elon, because he's not very busy, has agreed to head that task force. Be interesting. If he has the time, that'd be a good one to do it. But he's agreed to do it.
All government spending is taxation. So whether it's direct taxation or all government spending, it either becomes inflation or it's direct taxation. Your money is being wasted, and the Department of Government Efficiency is going to fix that.
West Asia is on the boil. The Israeli military has killed at least 64 people in Gaza and another 28 in Lebanon in the last 24 hours as it continues to deepen its offensive in both the regions. Reports say that Israel bombed a makeshift cafeteria in an Israeli-declared humanitarian zone in Gaza. Humanitarian groups said that Israel has worsened conditions in the enclave. Israel has dismissed warnings of a famine in Gaza and called the accusation slanderous. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump has appointed Mike Huckabee as the next ambassador to Israel. Huckabee, a former Arkansas governor, has a track record of a pro-Israel stance. In his previous statements, Huckabee has said that Israel has a rightful claim to the West Bank. And back home, it was a muted debut for the Swiggy on Dalal-Street. The quick commerce firm's stock listed at an 8% premium to the issue price. However, the stock witnessed strong buying as the day progressed. Answering CNBC-TV18's questions, Swiggy CFO Rahul Bothra said that the company sees a 60 to 80% growth in the quick commerce industry and hopes to beat those numbers. Take a look.
Josh is high. I think we're very, very excited for the next wave of our journey as a company. I think there's so much going for. We have so many more investors, such a large, broad user base, investor base rooting for us, and we want to go out and do a really good job. So the profitability, even in the build-up to the IPO, we've talked about how the food delivery business has already gotten profitable, and we expect that to continue at a steady clip, whatever trajectory we've seen. And similarly, on the overall business, if you look at the mix of our businesses, there's that and our quick commerce business, Instamart, where also we've shown a healthy trajectory over the last 2-3 years.
Our food delivery business having turned profitable and at a very good pace of growth. It's still an early stage for India's food delivery industry. If you look at the overall size of the industry, and the online food delivery industry, there is a pretty massive scope for us to continue growing into this, larger macro factors that will continue to aid that growth. Talking about the quick commerce segment, we are seeing a pretty, robust consumer acceptance to larger categories, larger selection. The platforms that are currently doing a good job on speedy deliveries have to also been able to the consumers are reimagining the category in terms of what they would like to associate or want to purchase from these quick commerce platforms, and we are trying to do our best in terms of giving them more assortment, faster delivery times. So it's an exciting phase of our growth.
Swiggy is a fundamentally very strong company for a few reasons. Number one, we have two core businesses as you highlighted. One is food and one is quick commerce. Both are growing reasonably fast. Food is already profitable. Quick commerce is trending towards that direction. And given the innovation DNA of the founding team and Harsha, I'll not be surprised they keep coming up with new offers and new offerings and new products for their customers. So in total, I think I'm super excited about the kind of long-term prospects of Swiggy beyond what they've already built today.
And a quick programming note, Swiggy co-founder and group CEO Sriharsha Majety will be one of our guests at the Global Leadership Summit tomorrow. He will be joining CNBC-TV18 managing editor Shireen Bhan for a special conversation. And speaking of Swiggy, Softbank is holding on to its 8% stake in the food delivery platform. The Japanese investment giant did not sell shares today. Softbank's India head Sumer Juneja believes Swiggy has significant headroom for growth. Take a look.
But let's talk a little bit about the journey to the IPO and to listing day itself. The last few days looked quite difficult, didn't they?
Oh, Shireen, thank you for having me. Indeed, I think we're now taking all a sigh of relief that the stock is up, 10 to 12%. But it's not been easy. From the time we went on the road, Zomato, which is the closest comp, I think was down about 8 odd percent. The market was down 5.5%. There was the US election, there was China stimulus, so a lot outside our control. And I think what we did well was we priced it right, where we knew we had enough book and we had a high quality book, a good balance between domestics and foreign, breadth and depth, and people who really understood the story and not who were looking to flip on day one. But also just to long-term holders. And I think the proof of the pudding came actually in the anchor book. And once the anchor book got oversubscribed by high-quality names, we knew we were prepared for a jittery market. I think, did I expect it to open positive? I think that's even better. But I think we had played it right to make sure that we left enough money on the table.
That decision to leave enough money on the table, and I think this has been one of the big lessons as far as the recent IPOs are concerned, getting the price right. I mean, we've seen the debacle of something like Paytm, for instance, and you were investors there as well. That decision to get the price right, to put enough on the table, how hard is that conversation with founders? How hard was that conversation with Harsha?
So I think, like you said, I think when you've seen stocks not do well in the past, then the conversation becomes easier. I think if Harsha was the first tech IPO going public, maybe it would have been harder, but Harsha is an exceptionally long-term thinker. He's made money for investors all throughout. So I think with Harsha, it would have been easier. But generally with entrepreneurs, I think it's been easier because now it's quite clear. You are stopping your journey with private investors. You're starting your journey with public investors. And if you don't have their confidence, then that's going to play out, in different ways over the next 10 years. Their confidence will be less. They will give you less room for error. And so now the formula is quite fixed. Let's leave some money on the table. Even if we get diluted a little bit more upfront, I think over the 5-year period, we'll all be much happier.
Well, let's talk about Swiggy and your confidence in the bet that you've decided to make, and you didn't participate in the OFS. Is that on account of the fact that you believe that there's significant headroom for growth from here on?
I think there is. I think, look, there is very few times in a country and in an investing professional's career are you going to see such a large platform being created, right? When you have both food delivery and Instamart, when you have $5 billion+ of GMV, when you're touching 100 million+ consumers, when the repeat of orders is that high, and India is only becoming richer, more urbanized, and the product market fit becoming only stronger, we think Swiggy has a long way to go. Obviously, execution is important. There is competition, Zomato, Zepto, but I think the market is large enough. The product market fit is very strong, and that's why we didn't do any OFS, because we think there is a long way to go for Swiggy.
And you're holding 8% off it, so that's a sizable chunk.
And you can catch the entire conversation at 6:30 p.m. right here on CNBC TV18. On that note, it is time for us to head into a short break. But coming up next, Supreme Court comes down heavily on demolition of properties of those accused of a crime. Details when we come back. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're still with us on Business 360. Now, the first phase of assembly elections kicked off in Jharkhand today. 683 candidates are in the fray for 43 seats. It's a two-way battle between the BJP-led NDA and the Jharkhand Mukti Morcha-led India bloc. The polls will decide the fate of Chief Minister and JMM leader Hemant Soren. Remember, he returned as CM in July this year after being granted bail in a money laundering case. Soren is contesting from Barhait, which will go to polls in phase 2. Avinash Kumar joins us now from Garhwa. Avinash, पोलिंग कैसे चल रहा है अब तक?
देखिए, मतदान बहुत अच्छा चल रहा है और पूरे अगर हम झारखंड के लिहाज से भी बात करें तो कहीं कोई बड़ी घटना नहीं घटी है। अब तक अगर हम मतदान के प्रतिशत को देखें तो 59.28% ओवरऑल है और जिस जगह पर मैं हूं, गढ़वा ये जिला है, गढ़वा में 60% मतदान इस वक्त हो चुका है। एक और बात है कि अगर आप शहर के तुलना में अगर ग्रामीण इलाकों की बात करेंगे तो ग्रामीण इलाकों में जो वोटिंग परसेंटेज है वो शहर से ज्यादा देखने को मिला। उदाहरण के तौर पर आप ये कह सकती हैं कि राजधानी रांची की अगर हम बात करें तो मात्र 44% ही अब तक मतदान हुआ है, मतलब 3 बजे तक। और बाकी जिलों की अगर आप बात करेंगे तो जो कोल्हान के इलाके हैं या फिर हम गढ़वा के भी इस इलाके की बात कर लें तो यहाँ 60% से ज्यादा मतदान हुए हैं। तो कहीं ना कहीं शहर के तुलना में गांव के लोग ज्यादा बाहर आकर मतदान किए हैं और उसमें महिलाओं की संख्या बहुत ज्यादा रही है। तो हम ये कह सकते हैं कि जो मतदान को लेकर भी जो एक जागरूकता अभियान चलाया जाता है उसमें कहीं ना कहीं जो है ग्रामीण इलाके के जो लोग हैं वो इसमें बढ़ चढ़कर भाग ले रहे हैं। दूसरी बात यह भी है कि ये चुनाव बहुत महत्वपूर्ण भी है और इससे अगर हम इलाके की बात कर लें, जिस पलामू प्रमंडल में मैं हूँ और जिस गढ़वा की मैं बात कर रहा था, यहाँ से मंत्री मिथिलेश ठाकुर चुनावी मैदान में है और उनके सामने बीजेपी के सत्यनारायण तिवारी हैं। हालांकि एक तीसरा कोण भी है जो सपा से है, गिरिराज सिंह, वो पहले भी एक्स मिनिस्टर रहे हैं और यहाँ गढ़वा से कई बार चुनाव जीत चुके हैं। लेकिन अंतिम तक अगर हम बात करें तो लड़ाई सीधे तौर पर दिख रही है। अब ये देखना होगा कि इस पूरे पलामू प्रमंडल में क्या कुछ होता है, क्योंकि पिछली बार के अगर 2019 की बात कर लें तो पलामू प्रमंडल के जो विधानसभा सीटें हैं वहां बीजेपी को एज था, बीजेपी ने ज्यादा सीटें जीती थी। तो इस बार ये देखना होगा कि वो सीटों में बढ़ोतरी करती है या फिर उन्हें जो चुनौती सामने से मिल रही है उसमें उनका कहीं ना कहीं कोई सेंधमारी होती है। तो ये अब वक्त बताएगा। लेकिन पहले चरण का जो मतदान जो 43 सीट पर जो हुए हैं उसमें हम कह सकते हैं कि झारखंड में जो मतदान का प्रतिशत है वो लगभग आप कह सकते हैं कि संतोषजनक है। अब तक जो जानकारी आ रही है 3 बजे तक की जो रिपोर्ट अपडेट हुई है उसके हिसाब से 59.28% है।
All right, Avinash, thank you so much for joining us with the latest from Jharkhand. But from Jharkhand to Maharashtra, which will go to polls on November 20th, it's going to be a tough fight between the BJP-led Mahayuti and the opposition Mahavikas Aghadi. Shiv Sena UBT MLA and Worli candidate Aditya Thackeray says this election result will prove who the real Shiv Sena is. Speaking to my colleague Santya Gora, Thackeray said he is challenging Eknath Shinde to contest the elections without using his grandfather's and the Shiv Sena's name and symbol.
The most important thing today that we are fighting for in Maharashtra is the very idea of Maharashtra, the aspirations of Maharashtra, the pride of Maharashtra that has been crushed by Eknath Shinde, that has been crushed by the BJP. That is one. But of course on a more local level, we are also going out to the people with the work that we have done over the past 5 years, be it in government or opposition, and the kind of love that we have received from the people.
Okay, if I talk about the Lok Sabha elections, there was a difference of only 1 seat between your party and the Shinde faction, Shiv Sena. This time, do you think that these elections, this election at least will once and for all prove which faction is the real Shiv Sena?
It's not like which faction is the real faction. We are the real party.
It's being contested. So
only because someone steals something, the thief doesn't become the owner of the thing. So that is one thing. Namaskar. Namaskar. But you look at one thing. The BJP without Uddhav Banasaheb Thackeray came down from 26 to 9. That is very crucial. That is also very important. 2, in Mumbai, Eknath Shinde has stolen a seat from us. The Election Commission has helped him win that seat with that RO and whatever, the returning officer who helped Vaikar. So this is absolute crushing of democracy in front of everybody's eyes. And we are fighting against it in court.
Now my question is about the CM candidate.
I challenge Eknath Shinde to contest elections without using my grandfather's face, without using my party symbol, without using my party's name. If he has so much, he should try to do that.
So talking about the CM candidate, your father asked MBA allies to announce a name before the elections, but that didn't happen. Now, don't you think that this is going to create some issues because you have a 2019 history,
right? Not at all, because first and foremost, where is the face or unity of the Mahayuti? Are they even together? Because one person says something, the other party says no, they're coming from outside and speaking against Maharashtra. One party says something, the other party refutes it.
They have the same allegations against you.
They're not even willing to put each other's faces on their manifestos or hoardings. I think that is an absolute shambles, because you have a party with a thief heading it, and then you have BJP that's trying to loot Maharashtra. So the only common goal is to loot Maharashtra, nothing else. For us, what is important is we're not fighting for seats or we're not fighting for posts. This is for Maharashtra. And that is why we're fighting together. So, whoever the face or not the face, our face is the people of Maharashtra.
The Supreme Court has come down heavily on demolition of properties of those accused of a crime. The Apex Court has termed bulldozer actions a chilling sight and rules the executive cannot replace the judiciary. The court also laid down stricter guidelines for demolitions. Ashmit Kumar is here with more. Ashmit, tell us more about the Supreme Court's guidelines on this front.
Well, the Supreme Court coming down strongly on bulldozer demolition, saying that it will not stand by idly and that it will ensure that there is accountability privately, personally, of the officer signing off on these demolition orders. Now, here are the facts of the case. There were a whole host of applications that had red flagged bulldozer demolitions taking place across UP, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan. These petitions had said that persons accused of mob violence were facing these demolitions. This is something that the Apex Court has come in on, has taken exception to, saying that this is very clearly the real motive behind these state governments. They're not looking to remove illegal structures, but rather they're looking to act against those persons who have been accused in cases of mob violence. This, the Supreme Court said, is wholly impermissible, is not constitutional, is in fact, even if the person is convicted, even in such a scenario, demolitions is not the punishment that has been conceived under Indian law. That this is not something that the Supreme Court will tolerate, that there needs to be accountability, and that to that end, the Supreme Court has given some very clear directions. Number one, the Supreme Court has said there needs to be a show cause notice. The show cause notice needs to have at least 15 days to ensure that at least the person has time to appeal this order. There needs to be a personal hearing. There also needs to be videography of these demolitions in question, that the municipal authority needs to demonstrate why demolition was the only possible alternative. And perhaps most importantly, the Supreme Court ruling that in any of these violations, if any of these court directions are violated, the officers responsible for the demolition will be responsible for restitution of the wrongfully demolished property at their own private expense, at their own personal expense. So very strong words coming in from the Apex Court.
Right, Ashmit, many thanks for those details. But with that, it is a wrap on this edition of Business 360. More news and updates continue right here on CNBC-TV18. Stay tuned.